granniopteryx, granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
Hello. We have all by now heard of David Lammy's grand idea of scrapping jury trials, except, as he says, in the most serious cases. Then again, you have to wonder what they call the most serious cases, because that's a matter of definition, isn't it? Are naughty words on the internet more serious than, for instance, the interfering with a teenage girl on her way back from school by some recent arrival to the country? I have to pick my words quite carefully. I do hope you appreciate that. Anyway, except in the most serious cases, and this has caused some significant opposition. Shocked individuals like me, but also from the legal profession and civil rights groups, and just about everybody in the country, actually, because we've had a jury system for more than 1,000 years. And there's something else, of course, as well. You might think that this is just pushback against an overbearing government and a Lord Chancellor who thinks that Henry VII came after Henry VIII. But it's not. It's more than that. It's actually a good old-fashioned British resistance against tyranny, which is something the Brits never went for too much, unlike France, of course, which positively revels in it. I'll get to Napoleon in a minute or so. No, this revulsion against a no jury law is deeper than just a problem with the juries. For the past 30 years, ever since Tony Blair, our governments, including the Conservative governments, by the way, because first there was Tony Blair and then there was David Cameron, our mini-me Tony Blair, and they've been involved in a 30-year project to make Britain more like France. That's the whole idea. They started with changing the currency and the weights and measures. That was before Tony Blair, by the way, under a Conservative government. But at the time, the idea was to join the European Union. And it made sort of sense for British currency and measurements to align with the decimal currencies and measurements on the continent. Oh, by the way, all those countries had this metric system only because Napoleon, the tyrant, rampaged across Europe with his armies and forced his tyranny there onto everybody. He didn't succeed in doing that in Britain, and that's why we are here still an outlier as far as Europe's concerned. After being an outlier for most of our history, remember, Britain was conquered by Rome, and yet of all the countries that were conquered by Rome, Britain never took on the Latin language. There's France, Portugal, Moldova, Romania, Spain, Italy. All those countries took on a modified form of Latin, and that's how their languages developed. Britain took on Latin only for liturgical reasons. And the only reason we have some Latin in our spoken language now is because we were later on conquered by the French-speaking Normans. And even then, the English language sort of absorbed the French, and our structure is still mostly English rather than French. After all, we talk about a stupid politician wearing a big wig, don't we? In French, the adjective would have come after the noun. Anyway, I got distracted there, didn't I? So, back to France. It made a certain amount of sense for some metric to be introduced into Britain when we joined were going to join the EU. That was when the EU was supposed to be a trading bloc, and before it became the chimera that it is now. Anyway, so we've absorbed the metric and added it into the language the same way we absorbed the French word for cow, which is beef. But we kept the cow as well. Similarly, I may fill my car in litres, but I drive it in miles. That's just the way it is. That's really, you could say, the British way. So, anyway, to get back to France, the whole process of the governments we've had in the past 30 years is that they've been trying to make us more like France, and that accelerated in 2003 when Tony Blair decided that we were going to ditch the pub culture and have a cafe culture instead, like he saw on his holidays in Nice. You know, pubs are frightfully déclassé. And we were going to have a cafe culture like they have in France. Yeah, how did that work out, Tony? All the cafes that he was so enthusiastic about, well, they seem to have turned into, well, what we used to call tea shops, except with a bit more overpriced coffee. And they're a favourite place now for mums to go and bitch about life after they've dropped their kids off at the nurseries, whereas the pubs are still going despite the fact that this government seems determined to tax and legalise them out of existence. There are so many laws that make running a pub so difficult, it's pretty obvious the government's determined to choke them to death. Do you know the expression, the third place? There's the first place, that's your home, and then there's your work, which is the second place. And the third place is neutral territory, that's the pub. And ironically enough, especially when we're talking about what's supposed to be a socialist government, the pub is the most democratic, classless sort of place in all of British society. It's a place where the local aristocrat stands at the bar with the fellow who cleans out the muck heap. It's a place where you can drink a little bit too much and discuss beery politics with total strangers and speak freely. Oh, and that is very much against this present government. And I was once in a pub with friends and we got talking with some other people at the next table, and this guy asked me how old I was, just out of the blue. He would never have dreamt of doing that in any other social situation. But in a pub, you know, it's like, well, it is, the barriers are lowered. And this is something that people like David Lammy can't stand. In France, which cafe you go to depends very much on what strata of society you belong to. And when you're there, you stick to your table, none of that democratic mixing nonsense. Then the other way they're trying to break down British culture is devolution. I mean, well, just look at what the Scots have done with their parliament. It's a shambles, isn't it? No, it really is a shambles. I'm sorry, I was going to use names there, my Scottish relatives, but it is a shambles. I know Westminster at the moment isn't a lot better, but at least it's not quite so riddled with corruption and racism. Hang on a minute. I've got to get something. Just a minute. Cut for this.
The Lord President, white. The Lord Justice Clerk, white. Every High Court judge, white. The Lord Advocate, white. The Solicitor General, white. The Chief Constable, white. Every Deputy Chief Constable, white. Every Assistant Chief Constable, white. The Head of the Law Society, white. The Head of the Faculty of Advocates, white. Every Prison Governor, white. And not just Justice. The Chief Medical Officer, white. The Chief Nursing Officer, white. The Chief Veterinary Officer, white. The Chief Social Work Advisor, white. Almost every trade union in this country headed by people who are white. In the Scottish Government, every Director General is white. Every chair of every public body is white. That is not good enough.
I didn't actually intend that sort of contrast, but Yeah, it's rather interesting. You see, it's sort of like a negative photo. Look at this. There's Hamza Yusuf. There's his face and there's his hair. And there's David Lammy. There's his face and there's his hair. All right, well, yeah. I was talking about the way the Labour Party are fragmenting us, so I'll get back to what they're doing. Well, giving away the Chagos Islands is one way, allowing Spain to police Gibraltar's border, that's another way. I suppose that's preparatory to giving away Gibraltar, that's just my guess. Kowtowing to the European Court of Human Rights instead of our own legal system, that's another way. All of that is the Labour Party's attempt to make us more like France. Then there's the big one. The unsustainable levels of migration that appear to me to be an attempt to split British society up, fragment us and force us to look to Europe for some sort of identity. But you know what? It won't work. Some of their efforts to turn us into Frenchmen might do us some harm. In fact, it probably will do a lot of harm, but it still won't work because the English have always been the outliers in Europe. I don't know whether they'll get this jury abolition pushed through or not, because they do have a majority and there are lots of Labour MPs who will park their ethics in the interests of hanging on to their jobs. But, well, I do hope not. I mean, who wants to be like the French? I mean, even the French don't, judging by what I'm seeing in their newspapers. OK, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.